reading and searching for something, when I read, it takes me to other places in the Bible that either confirm or help bring some more understanding or other things to what I'm looking for. And so here's what I do believe, and here's what I know. How many Christians in here? All right. If you are a Christian, the weight of your Christian life, the authenticity of you being a Christian, is predicated on two things, basically. Outside of being one by saying, I believe in Jesus Christ as my personal Savior, right? Accepting the whole plan of God through the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? That's what makes you a Christian, all right? Your validity as a Christian, or your relationship, well, let me ask this. How many believe that as a Christian, it means that you have a relationship with God versus it means that I'm in a membership at a church? Which one is it? Which one is it?
Relationship with God.
Okay, relationship with God. All right. How about I'm a Christian because I go to church? Or because I'm a member of a church? All right. Okay. So, if it's part of the relationship is going to church, and it's also having a relationship with God. Okay, how many can see God? All right. How many believe God is real? How do you know it? Don't say that. How do you know God is real?
Action.
Why do you believe God is real?
Because of my faith.
Because of your faith? And your faith says what?
It shows me the deeds. It shows me love through actions.
Okay. Your faith shows you deeds, love through action, and that proves that God's real.
The things I ask for.
Say it again.
The things through prayer, I pray and things manifest.
Thank you for saying that, because we're going to deal with that.
Yeah.
All right? Because that's not true. Because what if God doesn't answer your prayers? What if God doesn't do what you ask him to do? Then that belief is shaky now.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of cases for a lot of people. Right? But if you read the word, that's every case. Read in Hebrews when it talks about all of the patriarchs of our faith who did not get what their faith was strong enough for. Who died before whatever they were believing God for ever even happened. For they did not attain the faith, right? And they became what? The patriarchs. The principles of faith. So then that would say that while faith is important and it is critical, an element of God in your life by faith is that there are things that you are not going to have realized. Mic drop. Right? Because the faith message says, name it, claim it, grab it, slab it, whatever, you got it. If you want it, just speak it into existence, right? That's the faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things that, yeah, but you're not understanding what it's saying faith is, because the patriarchs, those who set the example for faith for us, had to deal with an assurance despite evidence. Meaning, they had to settle within themselves that God is real with no proof, with no evidence. Faith ain't faith until you're by yourself and you're lonely and you don't have what you want and it seems like what I got ain't gonna happen, right? Now, I know that sounds crazy, right? So, God is real. Faith is how you're defining your relationship, which it is possible, which it is our relationship in him is by faith. We receive him by faith, right? God's not going to prove to you that he's real. He's going to say believe or not believe or don't believe. He's not going to prove to you that he's real. He's going, he basically says, look around. Walk outside, look at the earth, look at the universe. Look, let me ask you this, right? You're in nursing or in LPN, right? The body has certain functions, vital signs. You take these vital signs, right? Try for a minute. Since you're medical, right? Since you're in that field, I'm going to ask you to do it because you have more of an understanding even of what I might be saying. I want you to try to manage from your mind, from yourself. I want you to try to manage the functions of your body that's taking place just to live, just to exist, right? I want you to manage them from this control center, right? Manage your blood pumping from your heart down through whatever, and atrial or whatever, and the 4 vessels. I want you to manage the regrowth of your cells that's taking place right now. I want you to manage the oxygen that's going in. I want you to manage at the cellular level. I want you to manage what has to happen within your body for you to just exist. Not to talk, not to go and access things and verbal, not to do it. Try to manage your body with your conscious mind. You gotta remember to blink. Don't forget, you got to manage your blinking. You got to think, I'm blinking because I'm willing myself to blink. You got stuff happening in you right now that you don't even realize what it would take to manage it. I mean, I'm a manager or director at a business, right? And it's a lot of stuff to manage there. But when I just said inside, manage the regrowth of your hair. Well, it take a long time for it to grow.
I'm doing it.
It don't take a long time for it to grow because it's growing by way of its faculties working, that over time you'll see their hair, you'll see length come on your hair, right? Because this stuff right here is dead. This ain't alive. Your hair is, at least in barber school, what they taught us is that your hair is dead. Right? So I know when we trying to put all that oil and grease on it and make it look good and it's healthy hair, it's dead hair. You're just making it, you're applying product to it to make it look healthy, but it's dead hair. So God ain't real? so is God real? I mean, so you poor guy. It's in there.
I never know.
And you got it right here. You got it on your eyebrows. Yeah, you got the eyelashes. You're good. But the point is, right, is trying to manage your body from a conscious state will help you understand that something created, something established what's happening in me just to exist. Just to exist. So, God's not going to prove himself because he already did. Just look around. All right? You as a believer, you as a Christian, the authenticity of you being a Christian is no greater than how much you pray and how much you read the word. All right? How much you pray and how much you read the word. And when I say read the word, I don't just mean, then the word, Lord, came to me saying, okay. Right? This is our God, living and written. The logos, the rhema. This is how he reveals himself. And then the relationship that we have with this and our prayer to him. Right? So, you guys can grow up, go out, whatever happens in 20 years from now, you may not even know me, right? The one thing I want you to remember is that your relationship with God is no greater than your prayer life and your worship or your reading. You're reading his word and your prayer life with him. That's the foundation. That it will not grow outside of that. If you have a relationship with him, without these, your relationship is shaky. Because then your relationship is based off of, let me say it this way. I can't have a relationship with James. He can't be my training partner if I go work out with Israel. I can't work out with you every day, but say me and James, we work out all the time. I can't have my relationship with you with Israel. Won't happen. I can't be a husband to my wife by staying with you all the time. Because my relationship with her has to be with her. Your relationship with God has to be with God. Coming to church is a part of it. Having a pastor and a person to help guide and help teach and train and all is a part of the growing of your relationship. But if you don't have a interaction with God to where he's real enough to have one, I told y'all on Wednesday, right? If I were to come home every day and don't say a word to anybody in the house, do I have a relationship with him? At some point, I mean, think about that. Don't say a word. Okay, right there. Y'all two beautiful couple. Don't speak to each other no more. Don't say a word to each other no more. How valuable is your relationship now? Huh?
They breaking up. They breaking up.
How valuable is it? How about? Right? Don't talk.
I'll just cut you off.
Don't talk at all. All right? So think about what I'm saying. We have a relationship with God, but we don't talk at all. What? Do it again, Kelsey? We used to do this at work. Get him out of here. All right. So just think about it. Let me read this. This is Jeremiah 1, 4th verse. Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, I want you to understand, Jeremiah at this point is a young child. Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, do you hear this? Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. And I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Then said I, Lord God, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. But the Lord saith unto me, don't tell me you're a child. He says, say not, I am a child. For thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee. And whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith the Lord. Then the Lord put forth his hand, and touched my mouth. And the Lord said unto me, behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down, and to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant. All right? Now, he's talking to Jeremiah. He says, before I formed you, I knew you. All right? Kelson, before you met Israel, you knew him. Nope, right? Our way of working is, I met Candace, now I know her. But I don't know all of her. I know her name. I know part of her occupation. I know James. I know certain things, but you wouldn't say, Dex know me. Or Pastor Dexter knows me. You wouldn't say Pastor Dexter knows me. You would say, yeah, I know him, he knows me, but when I say, do you know me? Do I know you? I don't. Now, James knows you, but I don't know you. God says here, before I formed you, I knew you. What does that say? if God is saying, before I formed you, I knew you, what's he saying? He's saying, I'm about to tell you something about yourself that you don't know.
Yep.
Whenever you're dealing with God, he's going to tell you things about you that you don't know.
Knows you better than yourself.
If you start working with him, he's going to start revealing things to you that you don't have an idea about yourself. You think you know yourself. You can fix yourself. You know yourself, right? I know how I can do better. I know I'm going to do that. And God looking at you like, yeah, I wish you'd pray to me. I wish you'd come talk to me for a minute. Because I can help you get to where you're trying to go to. Because I know you, boy. I know you. I know what you're saying, right? So, God says, before I formed you, I knew you. So there are things that he is about to tell Jeremiah right now that he prefaces. The word of the Lord came to me, and he said, before I formed you. So watch this, right? At this moment, he's telling Jeremiah what he already knows of him, right? What's he telling him? Before I what? Before I formed you, I knew you. Now that's even, he just took it to another level, right? He said, before I made you, before I made you. I mean, who can you say that about? What can you say that about? How about you got a little dog, nice little new dog or whatever, right? I'm gonna say Shiloh. I ain't gonna talk about y'all dog. I'm gonna say Shiloh, right? I ain't gonna get disrespectful.
Yeah,
all right, we got a dog named Shiloh, right? Now, if I knew her before I bought her, bless the Lord. I got it. Anyway, I'm using this as a teaching example. If I knew Shiloh before I bought her, I still would have bought her.
Yay.
Huh?
Hey, look, I'm saying this way. Lord, forgive me. Forgive me, Lord. All right. Yeah, y'all caught me on that one. I'm sorry, y'all. I shouldn't have told a lie. Despite what I knew, I bought her. Despite what I knew. Not of Shiloh, of what I like. So, but think about this. God's talking to Jeremiah, and God's telling Jeremiah, yo, before I formed you, I knew you. And I'm about to ask you and tell you some things that I want out of you because I put it in you. And you're going to tell me, blah, 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 and I'm going to tell you, don't be afraid of their faces. There's something I put in you. And so, as I was reading this all last week, and I've been on this for 2-3 weeks now, since first of the year, I've been in this call to prayer. Here's what really hit me. And I'm still working through it. I'm still dealing with it. When is my moment? The one thing that I have to do is be at the appointed time for which I was put on this earth. I was put on this earth for a reason. Maybe it was to come to Shenandoah to talk to you all. Maybe it was to show up here in a land I don't know and a people I've just met to preach a word that you may have heard, but I heard it the way I'm preaching it. I don't quite know yet. I know in a larger sense, like he tells Jeremiah, nations and this, that, right? But I don't know. I am still seeking God so that I can show up for the day and the time for which I was put on earth. I was formed and known by God for a moment in time. however many years I'm going to live, there is a reason why I was put here. And I want to make sure that I satisfy that reason. Now, I know part of that reason is raising my family, is being a husband to my wife, and establishing something. But I have to get to a day where I know it's time for me to walk into why I was put here. If you have a relationship with God, if you believe in God, you have to understand and know that you're here not just because he decided to make you. You're here because he decided to establish his kingdom and his likeness on the earth. Not to make you God and you say you're God. No, he has a grand design and he made you for a reason. And so I really began to pray and say, God, tell me, show me, talk to me, right? I'm calling you. And we'll get to that passage. Matter of fact, we're going to get to it now. Jeremiah 33, right? This is later in Jeremiah's journey. Jeremiah 33, and I'm going to start at the first verse. Okay, I'm going to start at the. All right, I'm going to start at the first verse because you're gonna notice something. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto Jeremiah. What happened in the very first introduction? And the word of the Lord came unto me, right? All right. So let me give you a little insight. The word of the Lord comes to Jeremiah in this fashion, as which the word of the Lord is coming to you right now. You can say the word of the Lord came to me today, right? Because what came to you today? Right? Something that God is saying came to you authenticated by what he's already said. Because he ain't going to say no more or any less. All right? So, notice it again. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto Jeremiah the second time, while he was yet shut up in the court of the prison, saying. Now, y'all remember what God said was going to happen to Jeremiah. All this stuff going to come out of it and blah, 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 blah. Now, right now, this is the second time the word of the Lord came to him while he was in prison. All right? So, for all our felonies, right, and how we treat felons, right? Oh, felon, they bad. They can't. Okay, but these guys in jail all the time. We read their word and Jeremiah, for I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper me and see me through. Right? We're all in there. Jeremiah in prison. Peter, he in prison. Christ was arrested and killed, right? Capital punishment. And and we got issues with fellas. Anyway, let me stop. Thus saith the Lord, the maker thereof, the Lord that formed, watch this. Thus saith the Lord, the maker thereof, the Lord that formed it to establish it, the Lord is his name. Call unto me, and I will answer thee, and show thee great and mighty things, which thou knowest not. All right. Crazy. I'm going to try to jump back here. I wish I had another Bible real quick. I'm going to jump back to the first verse, to the first chapter. You all hold the 33rd chapter. Right? Now, God is telling Jeremiah this. He said this. He said, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. And I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Then said I, Lord God, behold, I can't speak, for I'm a child. But the Lord said unto me, say not I'm a child, for thou shalt go to all that I send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Now watch this. He said, don't be afraid of their faces, for I'm with thee. I am with you to deliver you, saith the Lord. All right. So he already clued him into something. He said, I'm with you to deliver you. So if he says I'm with you to deliver you, what does that mean? That's like saying, I'm going to be your lawyer. And you say, oh, don't talk that lawyer stuff, don't be. Right? Because that's what that means. I'm going to be in court.
I'm gonna need a lawyer.
He said, I will be with you to deliver you. So he's already, see, when you work, when God's talking to you, he's saying a lot, even though he may not say a lot.
He's already told him at some point he's gonna need to be delivered from something.
From the moment he met him, he's telling him, I formed you, I knew you before I made you, and I've set something in your life to be your course. I've said it already. And he's going in here telling them, don't give me excuses. Well, I'm a child, I can't speak. Don't give me excuses. It's the same model, same type that he's going to talk and come to us. I formed you, and before I formed you, I knew you, and I put something in you, and I'm going to be with you, and I don't want any excuses from you. Because if I'm with you, and I already did it, just do what? Obey me. Walk in it. And later in here, he's saying, call me. Call me, and I will answer. And I will show you great and mighty things. He already showing them great and mighty things already. He's already showing them, right? Now, the great and mighty things that I'm going to deliver you, but what he says is this. He said, Father, ninth verse. And the Lord put forth his hand, touched my mouth, and the Lord said to me, behold, I have put my words in your mouth, right? You don't have to speak. I put them in there. See, I have this day set, watch this. He says, I want you to imagine or see it. See that this day I have set you above, or I've set you over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out, pull down, to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant. So he basically telling Jeremiah, yo, I've just touched you. I've just put my word in my mouth. I formed you, made you. I've already done it. You're going to be over nations, kingdoms. You're going to pull up, break down, build, plant. He's telling you, yo, you're going to be in charge. You're going to be the boss. You're about to really, right? And so now he's already told him this, but now we're going to 33. He's in prison. He already told you, I'll be with you to deliver you. He's in prison, and he comes to Jeremiah a second time. And this is a second time that Jeremiah was in prison, not the second time. So he comes to him a second time when he's shut up in prison, and he says, therefore, the maker, the Lord that formed it and established it, he reaffirms what he already told him. And what was that? He says something different now. He says formed and then established. So established means what? To establish, all right, to build something is one thing. But to establish a business is a whole other thing. To build a business is one thing, but to establish that business means to do what with it?
Thrive with it, right?
You can set it, all right, so like this. I'll say it like this, right? James can do taxes. Right? He can do business. He can build it. How do you build it? Learn the skill, the craft, the product that you're offering so that you can offer that product and give that product. That's building it. Because it ain't a business if it ain't got a product. He can build that business, that product of tax service, right? I mean, he needs to know code. He needs to know so your situation, and if you got kids and 401k, all this stuff, so he can maximize your return. So that's building the business, right? He can't have this old computer that got all the virus. He gotta have, he's gotta be up to date, right? But to establish his business, what do you need to do?
Set it up, advertise.
Advertising is building it still.
Yeah.
Don't you gotta like
Establish
Like a
clients.
permanent base, like setting it up to where it's firm, has a firm foundation, firm, permanent basis to
Make
where
it
it's
legal.
established.
to the government?
Make it legal. Don't make it a hustle.
Yeah.
Incorporate, right? Become a certain type of entity, because if you don't, right? If you don't, you can't even file taxes against it, right? You can't even be recognized by the government as a fully functioning business, right? So you can't even be recognized. So to establish it means to give it its purpose. If its purpose is a business, then it can't function as a business if it's backyard, if it can't be recognized as one. So he established it, right? And so now he's telling Jeremiah, I'm the God who made stuff and put purpose in everything that I made. Call me and I'll answer. This is what he said. Call me and I'll answer. And I will show you great and mighty things that you don't even know. One translation says, I'll show you great and unsearchable things. Now, the great and unsearchable things, what are they? What do you think? What arena? What do they fall in? What are the great and mighty things that God says he will show Jeremiah if he calls him? In a general sense, what do you think they might be?
In spirit world.
Huh?
Powers in spirit world.
Is he going to show him me? I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you about Dexter in the year 2023. Jeremiah, right?
No.
Huh? Yes. He's going to show you great and unsearchable things about you, whom he's established. Maybe that's why we don't really talk to God, because we're scared. We're afraid of who we really are. Are you afraid of who you really are? Are you afraid of what God really made you? How he really put value and worth in you? Because let me tell you this, right? God made us, he made mankind, right? He didn't make just Adam, he made the species man, right? Which woman is female and male man, right? Woman is still man in mankind, species, right? Right? Get that, that makes sense?
Yeah.
But woman is a type of man. Man with a womb, womb man, wombed man, man with a womb, man that can birth a child, right? We need to make it clear nowadays. Wombed man, woe man is a man with a womb, right? Man is man, right? Or male, male, female, woman, man. Mankind is what he made. And in mankind, he made it after his image and likeness, because God's so big that he can't just make a person like him. He has to make a species, an actual living species like him. Every man from BC to AD to KC, Kingdom Come, right? Every man, everything made, the planets, the earth, all of it was made, but we were made in his image and his likeness. And so within each of you is his greatness that speaks to a particular part of him, that as we come together, even in his greatness, we begin to look more and more like him. Because you're doing great things, and you're a great person, looking like God, in relationship with God. Think about that. In relationship with God, dealing through life and everything that it comes through, knowing that God came to you and said, I made you, Candace, before I knew you, before I formed you, I knew you. Before you was in your mother's womb, I knew you. She didn't know you before I knew you. He said, I knew you and I established you. I put a purpose in you. And that purpose is still there. And as long as you're still here, I'm still here to do what I said I'd do that you don't know. I just want you closer so you begin to understand what it is that I want from you, or what I have done, right? And so he goes here and he's telling Jeremiah, listen, call me and I'll tell you about yourself. Jeremiah's in prison, he says call. Remember, let's fast forward to New Testament. Peter was in jail, and what did he do? When Peter was in jail, being locked up, bound, head and feet, had soldiers at the head and tail, he prayed, right? And what happened? What happened? God shook the cell, broke the thing. He had to stop dude from killing himself. One of the guards had to stop from killing himself because he like, yo, that princess will escape. They gonna kill me. And he was like, yo, chill. We ain't going nowhere. I know God just do what he do. He does what he says he's gonna do for us, right? So I'm gonna jump to one more place, and that is. Angel, what's the scripture from Wednesday? Is it Luke 9?
I thought it was Matthew.
Matthew?
26.
There you go. Matthew 26.
And 36. Oh, yeah.
All right. Matthew 26, 36. Matthew 26, 36. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it, and he broke it. I'm gonna go to an easier reading translation. That way we can understand it just a tad bit better. All right. So, right now, well, you'll understand where we are in the story of Jesus right here, as written in Matthew. All right. So here's what he said. Jesus answered, and he said so. Okay. I'm sorry. That's the 25th. 26th verse says, while they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it, gave it to the disciples, saying, take and eat, this is my body. What does that sound like? Communion. Okay. So Christ was already teaching communion when the disciples were with him. We read about it later after he died, but this is how they knew who he was, because he did certain things. But anyway, so while they were eating, Jesus took bread, had given thanks, he broke it, gave it to the disciples, saying, take and eat, this is my body. Then he took a cup, and when they had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, drink from it, all of you. This isn't it.
I said 26:36.
Thank you, baby. I'm reading the wrong one. Anyway, Gethsemane. We're at Gethsemane. Okay. I was reading 26.
Yes.
My eyeballs don't work.
Yeah.
All right, Gethsemane.
Thought you had
All right, now, Gethsemane is what?
a place.
Mountain, right?
Yes?
Yeah.
All right, it's an orchard
Yeah.
Oh.
on the side of a mountain, right? Called Gethsemane. All right? It meant crushing, oil of crushing.
Yeah.
All right, that's what it meant. So Christ is in an orchard that deals with the crushing to produce oil. All right, here's what he says.
Olives, right?
Pardon me?
We're crushing olives, right?
Yes, crushing olives for the oil, because olives are fruit, which is why it's an orchard. All right, Gethsemane. We kind of know what this story is when Christ went to pray in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? We kind of know where we're leading up into what?
His
His death.
His death, yeah.
His death. All right. And there's a critical piece. So I want to tell you this, right? In the Garden of Gethsemane, let me just say this, right? How many remember the first miracle that Jesus ever did, as recorded in the Gospels?
Right?
Pardon me?
The eye, right?
Yes. It was the wedding feast where he turned water into wine. All right? He turned water into wine. Now, he was invited to a wedding by his mother. He brought 5 people with him, 5 of the disciples that would become apostles. He brought them with him. And when he got to the wedding, they had ran out of wine. All right? They ran out of wine. Mary came to him saying, "We out of wine." And he says this one thing to her. He says, "Woman, it's not my time." Think about that. They come to him because they're out of wine. Was Mary saying, "I need you to turn water into wine"? No. She was just coming to him saying, "Do something. We're out of wine." And she tells them, "Look, whatever he says, do it. He tells her, "Woman, it's not my time." He still does it, but he helps her understand, I ain't just here for play to do little things to meet your needs. I'm not just here to meet your needs. You should have prepared. Now, he turns water into wine, and the wine is the best wine. And they're like, who does this? Who saved the best wine for last? You get the best wine first, and then you drink that malt liquor last. You bring the nasty stuff last, right? Because you're impressing everybody, right? So he was like, who does this? Who, right? So automatically there was a conversion that took place. The good wine that was good that they had that they ran out of became the bad wine because his wine was better wine. It was better, right? But he still says, it ain't my time. He was already setting the stage for something that would happen with an old wineskin. Can't put new wine in old wineskins, right? You can't put new wine in the skins that it held because it'll blow it up. It can't handle it as it ferments, right? So you can't put new wine in old wineskins, right? Now that's not the same story, but my point is, he already was stating something. It's not my time. It's not my purpose. This is not why I was put here. I can do certain things. I'm going to do certain things because they're going to speak to other things. But this is not the moment the moment that I'm supposed to meet, right? And so now when he's coming here, he's in the Garden of Gethsemane because he knows what?
It's his time.
Because he says it. Now is my time. My time has come. So now, understand this. That's the same thing I got is, Lord God, yes, I can preach, I can have church, I can do all of this stuff, right? But I have to know the moment that I've been put here. All right? So now, he says this. Let me get back to it before I read the wrong thing again. All right. Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane. He said unto them, sit here while I go over there and pray. Sit here while I go over there and pray. He went into the mountain, to the Garden of Gethsemane, right? And he took 3 people with him, right? 3 close friends of Jesus. Now, I want y'all to understand this because this is going to relate to us, right? He took 3 people with him while he went to do what?
Prayer.
All right? But say it the way he told Jeremiah. While he went to do what? Drake used to have that
Call.
thing. I don't know the song, but I didn't know that little call me on my cell phone or something like that, right? Right? So Christ said, you sit right here while I go over here and do what?
Make a call.
Call
Talk
my
to
father.
him. While I go call my daddy. While I go call God. You all sit right here. You come with me, you sit here, right? He said, sit right here and pray. He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee along with him. And he began to be sorrowful and troubled. He said to them, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. All right? Now, I want you to understand where he is. He's telling them, y'all, I'm suicidal. He's telling Peter, he said, I'm suicidal. My moment's coming. My moment is here. Come with me. Sit right here and pray. I'm suicidal. It said that he fell to the ground, to his face. So we're going to see how suicidal he is. My soul is, what's your soul? Your mind, your will, and your emotions. If your soul is overwhelmed to the point of death, you're at death. You're suicidal at this point. You are a danger to yourself because your emotions are gone, your mind, your mental capacity, your intellect, and then your will is faltering back and forth, right? So he's saying, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. Stay here. What he's telling them then is, stay here and don't let me kill myself. Why?
Because he knows what he has to do.
Because I know what I have to do. So he said, Peter, sit here, watch. I'm suicidal. And he begins to go crazy. He begins to feel, he said, my soul is overwhelmed to the point of death, right? And he's telling them, can y'all just watch me? Don't let me kill myself because my time is here. My purpose is here. What is his purpose? To die, right? But he's saying, I can't kill myself. I can't die before I am killed by my God who sent me to be slain for mankind, right? He knew why he had come. So he's saying, sit right here and look out for me, right? First point on that is, who's watching for you? Who is your friend that's making sure you don't do whatever it is you may do that will stop you from fulfilling your purpose? Who's in your life that can watch for you? Because watch this. You need someone with you to help you not do what you would do because of your weakness. All right, so watch this. Christ took these people. He took 3 of his friends. He said, sit and watch. All right, now it said that he fed, man, I keep jumping.
He fell down. He fell face down.
He fell face down.
39.
They're going a little further. All right, so 38, his soul was overwhelmed with sorrow, and he said, stay here and keep watch with me. Going a little further, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, my Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as thy will. All right, so watch this. As he goes to continue to get to the place to talk to God, he falls down and begins to pray. And he says, he starts to try to negotiate with God. Watch this. He ain't been beat. He hasn't been hurt. Nothing. He hasn't went through all of those things that we know that happened to him once he was taken and beaten and cattailed and crucified. None of that has happened yet. None of that has happened. They're eating and drinking, right? He's having this last dinner with them, and now he's knowing inside it's about to take place. Think about this. He's sitting down with his friends, with his disciples. He's sitting down with them, and he's knowing. It's like when you know work's coming tomorrow. I gotta go back to work tomorrow. I gotta deal with this and I gotta deal with that, right? And the whole time you're at the table, y'all eating together, or we're watching the game, right? And we're having some fun, but in the back of your head, you're like, shoot, man, I gotta work tomorrow. I know what I gotta deal with, right? Because you got something to deal with. Christ was like that, except what Christ knew what was coming was the experience of pain for all mankind to say, I have suffered everything that you could go through. That moment's coming. Oh, he's been talked about and ridiculed and made fun of all up to this point. He done dealt with our normal stuff. But at this point, now you're going to experience everything, right? It's for those that say, Christ, he don't know about suicide. Well, yeah, he did. He tried to kill himself. He said, no, right? Satan tempted him and tried to get him to kill himself. All right, so now he tells them, he says, go, all right? So he falls down. He went away a second time. Hold on a second. No. Going a little further. Right, okay, so he asked the Father, yet as not I will, but as you will. All right? Now, then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Now think about this. If he tells you, Kelson, I did something wrong, watch me, I might have killed myself. Can you just, I'm just saying what Jesus said. I'm not saying this, right? But I'm saying, right, let's make it, kind of important, right? Because if you just say, make sure I don't punch this boy if he look at you again, right? That may be different. Right? Because I might not say nothing and let you go ahead and do what you're going to do. Right? But what I'm saying is Izzy's in a state of distress. And he's suicidal. And he asks you, my mom, dad ain't here right now. Can you, look, I'm feeling crazy. I don't know what's going on. Can you just keep an eye on me? Watch me. Pray. Be ready to call my mama or daddy if you see something crazy, right? And then he come back and you sleep. Christ comes back after this display initially. Now watch this. They already know who Christ is. They don't walk with this man. They know he's the Son of God. They know this, right? And this man now going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I would be shook. I would be shook if God was suicidal. If I went to pray to God and he like, yo, Dex, man, I don't know what I'm going to do, right? I'm about to go crazy, right? If I talk to God and he was like, you got to keep your eye on me. I'm like, how am I going to watch you, God? I mean, what the world? How am I going to stop you from doing what you're going to do, right? They're looking at Christ like, they come back, he sleep. They're asleep. Christ wakes them up. All right? He wakes them up. He said, he goes a little further, when he returned, he found his disciples sleeping. He says, couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour? You couldn't stay awake. You couldn't come to church for 1 hour? You couldn't come to church for 2 hours and just hang with me. He said, you couldn't stay awake and watch with me for 1 hour. He asked Peter, watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. While he was going through that, he was still setting an example for them. He said, watch and pray so you don't fall into temptation. What is he telling them? I'm about to fall into temptation and I can't sin. Remember, Christ was sinless. He was the perfect lamb. That means he had no sin. Yet he was killed for the redemption of sin. So he didn't do anything wrong. And he's telling them, you got to watch and pray. You got to watch each other and stay connected with God so you don't fall into temptation. Because if you fall into temptation, guess what you'll miss? The moment that you're supposed to be here for. Christ is telling them, Christ didn't tell them this as he's walking with all this. When he gets to the moment of when his purpose is fulfilled, he's saying, I need y'all to watch for me. Make sure I don't say no. Make sure I don't do anything to compromise. While I pray to God to try and strengthen myself not to do it. Now watch this. Strength doesn't come because you pray to God when you're going through something. Strength comes when you say you're going to do his will and you start doing his will. That's when strength comes. You can't pray for strength. Strength comes as you do his will. So don't pray for strength. Don't pray, God, help me to deal with, help me. That's strength, right? Help me to do this, help me. That's strength. When you're praying for him to help you to do something, enable you to do something, that's strength. Don't pray for strength. Do his will, strength comes automatically. All right? Now, he's telling them this. Could you keep watching me for an hour? So he went away a second time and prayed, Father, if it's not possible for this cup to be taken away from me, unless I drink it, may your will be done. All right? Now, the cup is what? What's the cup?
His purpose is death. His
Right.
death.
So in a general sense, the cup is the cup of wine, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's blood.
Right.
Wine. A grape has blood. That blood is considered wine. So the grape juice is considered blood, right? So when you talk in ancient times, the juice of a grape was called blood, right? So the cup that you drank wine from, the cup that